Every single morning, before the world even knows you're awake, you are already faced with a decision. It's not about what to wear, what to eat, or even what's on your to-do list. It's deeper than that. It's a choice between comfort and growth, a choice between staying the same or becoming more. The truth is, our mornings quietly shape the story of our lives, and every morning, without exception, you and I have two choices: to rise with intention or to let the day control us. The question is, which choice are you making? When we think about mornings, most of us picture routines, alarms, and the rush to get started with our day. But if we pause for a moment, mornings are much more than a routine. They are a starting line, a moment where direction is set before a single thing has been accomplished. The way you begin your morning creates momentum that carries into everything else you do. It is not simply about waking up early or being productive for the sake of productivity. It is about shaping your mindset at the very beginning of the day, because that mindset dictates how you show up in every interaction, every decision, and every challenge that comes your way. Imagine two people waking up at the same time. One reaches for their phone immediately, scrolling through notifications, emails, and news that set the tone for stress and distraction. The other takes just a few minutes to breathe, reflect, maybe read or write something meaningful, and think about the kind of day they want to create. Both people had the same 24 hours ahead of them, but they started with completely different directions. One chose to react, the other chose to lead their own day. This difference may seem small, but over time it grows into a massive gap in energy, focus, and fulfillment. What we sometimes fail to realize is that our mornings act like a compass. They point us in a direction, whether we recognize it or not. If your morning is filled with chaos, rushing, and reaction, you are much more likely to carry that same energy into meetings, conversations, and tasks. You feel like you are catching up rather than leading. On the other hand, when your morning is intentional, even if it is just 5 or 10 minutes, you anchor yourself in clarity and purpose. That clarity gives you a kind of quiet power. It doesn't guarantee the day will be easy, but it does mean you are prepared to respond instead of react. Think about forming athletes, leaders, or creators. They understand this principle deeply. Their mornings are not just rituals. They are acts of alignment. They use their mornings to reconnect with who they want to be and what matters most. And it is not about perfection. You don't need to run 10 miles at dawn or meditate for an hour. What matters is creating a space that sets your direction. Even a small action, repeated consistently, can shape the quality of your day. The science backs this up too. Studies on habit formation and cognitive performance show that our brains are most impressionable and creative right after waking. The thoughts we feed ourselves in the morning often determine whether we feel motivated or depleted. If you tell yourself, "I'm already behind," you will likely carry that stress everywhere. If you begin by reminding yourself of your purpose, of one thing you can be grateful for, or of one priority that really matters, the rest of the day tends to organize around that focus. We often underestimate the power of small beginnings. A single morning doesn't seem like it can change much, but when you stack day after day, when you consistently choose direction rather than drift, you begin to notice transformation. Confidence grows, energy sustains, you feel less like life is happening to you, and more like you are living it on purpose. That is the real impact of mornings. They are not about coffee, alarms, or productivity hacks. They are about the choice of direction, and every day, whether you acknowledge it or not, that choice belongs to you. Every morning, we are faced with the same invisible fork in the road. One path is comfort, and the other is growth. At first glance, comfort seems like the easier, safer choice. It is the decision to stay in bed for a little longer, to avoid the workout, to postpone the difficult conversation, or to keep doing things the way we always have. Comfort feels good in the moment because it shields us from discomfort, from uncertainty, from effort. But the truth is, every time we choose comfort over growth, we silently accept staying the same. We trade long-term fulfillment for short-term ease. Growth, on the other hand, often doesn't feel good right away. It asks us to stretch beyond what feels normal or easy. It demands discipline, patience, and sometimes even pain. Growth is choosing to get up early when your body says stay in bed. It is reading when you would rather scroll. It is speaking up when your fear says stay quiet. It is taking risks when safety feels more appealing. Growth doesn't always reward us instantly, but over time, it gives us strength, resilience, and confidence that comfort never can. The challenge is that the decision between comfort and growth happens in the smallest moments, not in the grand ones. We rarely notice them because they appear disguised as ordinary choices. Hitting snooze is one. Avoiding a difficult task is another. Putting off a dream because it feels too big or too far away is yet another. Each small choice is like a brick, and with every decision, we are either building a wall of comfort that keeps us stuck, or a path of growth that moves us forward. Think about it, every person you admire, every leader who inspires, every individual who has achieved something meaningful has chosen growth more often than comfort. Not once or twice, but consistently, especially when it was inconvenient. They chose the uncomfortable workout, the extra study session, the courageous conversation, the rejection that came before success. They made those choices not because they were superhuman, but because they understood that growth is the only way to unlock potential. And yet, the paradox is that comfort feels safe but slowly weakens us, while growth feels risky but builds us into who we are meant to become. If we live for comfort, life eventually becomes uncomfortable. Regret sets in, opportunities are lost, and we realize we traded our best future for fleeting ease. But if we live for growth, life becomes richer, fuller, and more rewarding, even when challenges remain. It is also important to realize that growth doesn't always mean big leaps. It often shows up in steady, quiet choices, choosing to listen deeply instead of dismissing, choosing to keep going after failure instead of quitting, choosing to learn something new when it would be easier to rely on what you already know. Growth is about direction, not speed. It doesn't matter how fast you move forward, only that you continue choosing the path that stretches you. When we frame our mornings around this decision, comfort or growth, we realize that the day is already won or lost before it begins, because the first choice sets the tone for the next. If you choose growth first thing in the morning, you prime your mind to keep choosing growth throughout the day. But if you choose comfort, it becomes easier to keep choosing comfort again and again, until the day slips away unnoticed. This is why every morning is powerful. It is a rehearsal for the rest of your life. Growth is not something you stumble into accidentally. It is a choice, a conscious decision, made again and again in small moments. And every morning you are given the same opportunity, to stay the same or to step into something greater. The truth about our lives is that they are not shaped by a single grand decision. They are the product of countless small ones, repeated every day, often without us even noticing. The cup of coffee you choose instead of a glass of water, the decision to skip a workout or to show up anyway, the choice to read a book instead of scrolling through social media. Each of these seems insignificant in the moment, but like drops of water filling a jar, they accumulate, and over time, those small daily decisions compound into powerful, long-lasting results that either move us closer to our goals or quietly hold us back. Think of it like planting seeds. If you plant a seed today, nothing much happens tomorrow. You still see bare soil, and it is tempting to believe your effort didn't matter. But if you continue to water it every day, eventually the seed sprouts, grows roots, and becomes something strong and visible. Daily choices are those seeds. One decision alone won't change your life, but the habit of consistently choosing well builds a foundation that becomes unshakable over time. It is easy to dismiss the importance of small decisions because they don't provide instant feedback. Eating unhealthy once doesn't make you sick. Skipping one day of work doesn't ruin your career. Avoiding a meaningful conversation doesn't destroy a relationship immediately, but repeated over weeks, months, and years, these choices accumulate until one day you look up and realize you're far from where you wanted to be. The danger of small decisions is not that they seem bad, but that they seem harmless. The reality, however, is that they are shaping you every single day. The opposite is also true. A single workout won't transform your body. Reading one chapter won't make you wise. Taking one step of courage won't change everything. But when you repeat these actions consistently, when you stack one good choice on top of another, the results become undeniable. Success is rarely the product of one dramatic breakthrough. It is the natural outcome of small, disciplined decisions made consistently over time. Think about compound interest in finance. You don't see the effect of money growing in the first year or even the second, but by the 10th or 20th year, the difference is massive. Your daily choices are exactly the same. They are compounding every single day, whether you realize it or not. The question is, are they compounding in your favor or against you? This is why people who seem disciplined or successful are not necessarily better than anyone else. They simply understand the power of daily compounding. They know that one good choice today makes it easier to make another tomorrow. Over time, those choices create a momentum that becomes unstoppable. What looks like discipline from the outside is often just a series of small, repeated decisions that build habits strong enough to carry them through. The beauty of this truth is that it also works in reverse. If you have been making poor choices, you can change direction today. The compounding works both ways. Start with one small decision that serves your growth. Drink water instead of soda. Write for 10 minutes instead of scrolling for 30. Call one person you care about instead of avoiding connection. Each choice alone feels small, but the ripple effect is enormous. Life rewards consistency more than intensity. Anyone can do something extraordinary once, but the people who create lasting change are the ones who choose small, meaningful actions every day. Your future is not decided by chance or fate, but by the quiet, repeated decisions you make when nobody is watching. And when you understand that truth, you realize that every morning gives you a fresh chance to shape the compounding of your life. When you wake up in the morning, you don't just set your alarm, you set the tone for your entire day. The energy you choose to begin with is the same energy that often carries through meetings, interactions, and challenges. If you start the morning in a rush, already stressed and reactive, the smallest obstacle can feel overwhelming. But if you begin with intention, even a short moment of clarity, gratitude, or focus, you create a foundation of resilience that helps you handle whatever comes your way. Your morning doesn't just prepare you for the day, it programs you for how you will respond to it. Intention is about more than making a to-do list. It is about asking yourself a deeper question: how do I want to show up today? That one question has the power to shift your mindset. Because the truth is, life will always throw unexpected situations at you, delays, problems, conflicts. But if you begin your morning with a clear intention, you are less likely to be thrown off balance. You don't control what happens, but you do control how you approach it. And mornings are where that control is reclaimed. Think of athletes before a big game. They don't step onto the field randomly. They warm up, they visualize, they get into a mindset of focus and readiness. That ritual doesn't guarantee victory, but it primes them to give their best performance no matter what unfolds. Your morning intention works the same way. Whether it's through journaling, meditation, reading, or even just taking 5 quiet minutes to breathe, you are preparing your mind to be resilient, steady, and purposeful. Without intention, you drift. The world decides for you what matters most, and your day becomes a series of reactions rather than deliberate actions. But with intention, you anchor yourself. You remind yourself of your priorities, your values, and your purpose. That anchor keeps you grounded when distractions and stress inevitably appear. Consider how powerful it feels when you face a challenge and respond calmly instead of with frustration. That strength doesn't come from luck, it comes from preparation. If your morning begins with reflection and clarity, you are already rehearsing resilience. It becomes easier to pause before reacting, to choose patience over anger, to focus on solutions instead of problems. And when that becomes your daily pattern, you not only create better days for yourself, but also influence the energy of everyone around you. There is also something deeply psychological about mornings. Research shows that the brain is most adaptable in the first hour after waking. That is the moment when new habits are easiest to form and when your emotional state is most impressionable. If the first thing you consume is negativity or chaos, it imprints on your day. But if the first thing you feed your mind is clarity, gratitude, or learning, you carry that energy forward like a ripple effect. What's remarkable is that this doesn't require hours of time. Even the simplest rituals, writing down 3 priorities, practicing a short affirmation, reading a page from a book, or setting a single word as your focus for the day, and have a massive impact. The power lies not in the length of the practice, but in the consistency and the intention behind it. Resilience is not built in moments of crisis. It is built in the quiet, ordinary mornings when you decide how you will show up. By the time the challenges arrive, your preparation is already done. And when you start your day with intention, you carry with you a strength that no setback can easily shake. Every morning becomes an opportunity not just to plan your tasks, but to prepare your heart and mind for the inevitable ups and downs of life. That is how intention in the morning becomes resilience throughout the day. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction or punishment, but in reality, it is the very thing that creates freedom. When you wake up and choose discipline, you are not depriving yourself of comfort. You are investing in your future self. Discipline in the morning sets the framework for the rest of the day, and over time, it creates a life that feels more open, more controlled, and more fulfilling. Without discipline, every day becomes reactive, ruled by impulses and distractions. With discipline, each day moves you closer to the life you want to build. Think about something as simple as making your bed in the morning. It takes less than a minute, but it is an act of discipline that sets the tone for order and structure. That one small action tells your brain, I am in control of how I start my day. The same is true for exercise, journaling, reading, or even choosing not to check your phone immediately. Each act of discipline is like placing a brick in the foundation of your future. On their own, these acts feel small, but consistently practiced, they create a solid structure that supports everything else in your life. Freedom without discipline quickly turns into chaos. If you eat whatever you want, spend however you like, and use your time without structure, the short-term feeling of freedom eventually leads to long-term problems. Poor health, financial stress, and wasted potential. But when you discipline yourself to make better choices consistently, you create freedom on the other side. Financial discipline creates the freedom to spend without guilt. Health discipline creates the freedom to move, travel, and enjoy life fully. Time discipline creates the freedom to focus on what matters most without being constantly distracted. The most successful people in the world are not the most talented, they are the most disciplined. They wake up and do what they committed to, whether they feel like it or not. Discipline is not about mood, it is about decision, and once you build the habit of choosing discipline over excuses, it becomes easier to repeat. What looks like willpower from the outside is actually routine on the inside. What makes morning discipline so powerful is that it compounds throughout the day. If you start your morning with a win, waking up on time, moving your body, focusing on your priorities, you build momentum. That momentum makes it easier to choose discipline in the afternoon when distractions are louder. But if your morning starts with excuses, procrastination, or avoidance, it becomes harder to reverse that pattern later. The first decision of the day often dictates the rest. It is also important to recognize that discipline is not about perfection. Everyone slips. Everyone has mornings when they don't follow through. Discipline is about consistency, not flawlessness. Missing one day won't ruin you, but giving up because of one miss will. True discipline allows for failure, but insists on returning to the path the next day. It is that commitment to return, again and again, that builds lasting freedom. When you view discipline as freedom, it shifts your perspective. You stop asking, "Why do I have to do this?" and start saying, "I get to do this because it brings me closer to the life I want." Discipline becomes an act of self-respect. It is proof that you value your future more than temporary comfort, and every morning gives you the chance to practice it again. Over weeks, months, and years, the freedom created by that discipline will far outweigh the small discomfort of choosing it in the moment. That is why discipline today is not a burden. It is the gateway to freedom tomorrow. Success is often talked about as if it is something far away, a finish line you reach after years of hard work, or a trophy you hold after overcoming countless obstacles. But the truth is, success doesn't begin in the future. It begins the moment you open your eyes in the morning. The very first choice you make when you wake is the seed of success. That choice may seem small, like deciding whether to hit snooze or get up, whether to react to notifications or spend a few minutes in reflection, whether to begin the day with purpose or drift into it by default. Yet those simple choices are where success is quietly born. Think about the difference between someone who wakes up with intention and someone who wakes up on autopilot. The first person takes ownership of their day. They might set a goal, move their body, or simply align themselves with the mindset they want to carry. The second person hands their day over to chance, allowing external forces to dictate their mood, priorities, and energy. Over one day, the difference may seem small. Over weeks, months, and years, the gap becomes enormous. Success is not built on luck or talent alone. It is built on daily choices, starting with the first one you make. The first decision in the morning creates a psychological pattern. If you choose discipline at the start, you are more likely to keep making disciplined choices throughout the day. If you choose procrastination, excuses, or avoidance, it becomes easier to continue down that path. It's like setting a domino in motion. The first one you knock over determines the direction of all the others. That is why mornings are so critical. They are not just a beginning, they are a signal to your brain about what kind of person you are choosing to be today. This is not about perfection or grand achievements. You don't need to run 10 miles before sunrise or complete your entire to-do list before breakfast. What matters is alignment. The first choice should align with who you want to be, not just how you feel in the moment. If you want to be healthy, make a choice that honors your health. If you want to be focused, make a choice that creates clarity. If you want to be courageous, make a choice that requires stepping out of comfort. Each small decision at the start of the day becomes a declaration of identity. Success, then, is not a single event to arrive at, but a direction you choose every morning. And the beauty of this truth is that it puts power back in your hands. No matter what happened yesterday, no matter how many times you failed, the new day resets the game. You are given another chance to choose differently. That fresh choice is what makes mornings so powerful. They carry forgiveness for the past and possibility for the future, all in one. Over time, those choices compound. The mornings where you choose growth, discipline, and intention add up to years of resilience, clarity, and achievement. People may look at your results one day and call you successful, but you will know the truth. That success was not a sudden break through, but the accumulation of choices made each morning. Success was created long before the world noticed, in the quiet discipline of your daily beginnings. Every morning, the opportunity is given to you again, to rise or to drift, to lead or to follow, to create or to consume. And while the choice may look ordinary, it is in fact extraordinary, because the way you begin your day is the way you build your life. And success always begins the same way, with the very first choice you make when you wake.